Why are you constantly self-sabotaging? Why do you keep hitting this invisible ceiling in your career, your relationships, basically your whole life? You probably feel completely trapped. Well, you're asking the right questions. But the stoic truth? You're trapped in a self-made cage. Today, we're breaking out. In this explainer, we are launching an intense psychological investigation into neuro-linguistic programming. It is literally the ultimate tool to decode your mind and completely rewrite the software that's currently programmed to make you fail. So why are you still stuck? You know you don't lack willpower, and you're certainly not unintelligent. Well, here's the hard truth. It has absolutely nothing to do with willpower. You are operating on a flawed, invisible script. Think of it like this. You're running outdated, glitchy software inside a highly advanced piece of hardware. Your brain? It's perfectly executing a program that is specifically designed to keep you exactly where you are right now. George Bernard Shaw actually hit the nail on the head with this. He said, reasonable men adapt themselves to the world. Unreasonable men adapt the world to themselves. That's why all progress depends on unreasonable men. Look, most people out there are reasonable. They just accept their limitations, their daily anxieties, their failures. They take them as absolute fixed facts of the physical universe. We need you to become unreasonable. Stop adapting to a broken reality. Starting today, we're going to adapt the world to you. Chapter 1. The hidden symptom. Let's cut right to the chase and shift our focus to the actual, undeniable root of your daily paralysis. Now, I could almost hear you saying, but the limits I feel are real. The stress is objectively real. I can literally feel it. And that brings us to the foundational secret of this entire investigation. No, they aren't. Your reality is merely a simulation. The world out there is an absolute infinity of sense impressions. You don't actually experience reality. You experience a map. And that map is heavily filtered through your unique neurology, your biases, and your deeply held beliefs. Look, if your mental map is drawn entirely with dead ends, you are never going to find an open door. It all comes down to how you frame your reality. Just look at the blame frame. This is that flawed victim mentality where you constantly ask, why do I have this problem? Man, whose fault is it? Asking those questions leaves you completely paralyzed. But if you brutally shift to an elite outcome frame, you focus entirely on solutions. You ask, what do I want? What resources do I actually have? That one simple shift literally alters the physical sensations in your body and unlocks completely new possibilities in your environment. And you might be wondering, is this just some self-help theory? Not a chance. We're grounding this directly in the foundational text, Introducing Neuro-Linguistic Programming. These psychological hacks weren't just invented in a vacuum. They were modeled directly from the world's absolute best communicators and therapists. NLP is essentially the science of modeling human excellence, meaning if someone else can achieve an incredible outcome, their neurological map can literally be mapped, copied, and pasted right into your own brain. Chapter 2, The Childhood Root. So where on earth do these flawed filters even come from in the first place? Let's trace this infection all the way back to its origin. It's a completely mechanical timeline. It all starts with one unevaluated childhood event. Say an authority figure tells you you're terrible at math or that you're just not a natural leader. Next comes belief formation. You accept that passing comment as an objective reality. And that right there triggers the Pygmalion effect, where your actual capabilities are mathematically restricted by those exact expectations. I mean, studies show if a teacher simply expects a student to fail, that student's IQ performance actually drops. Finally, this results in adult paralysis. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy guaranteed to keep you stuck. So you end up asking yourself this ultimate, desperate question. Why do I keep doing this? Why do you return to that toxic relationship, the endless procrastination, or the gripping fear, even when you logically know better? It's because those past traumas have literally anchored you. Your nervous system is trying to run mutually incompatible states at the exact same time. You're slamming on the gas and ripping the emergency brakes simultaneously, and you're sitting there wondering why the engine is tearing itself apart. Chapter 3. The Mechanical Illusion. We are now going to treat your mind exactly as it is, a rigid mechanical trap. Way back in 1956, psychologist George Miller proved that our conscious mind can only process a pathetic fraction of reality, specifically 7 pieces of information plus or minus 2 at any given time. Meanwhile, millions of bits of data are flooding your senses every single second.
This means your brain is furiously editing reality just to keep you sane. But here is the massive problem. If your core beliefs are negative, your brain automatically edits out all the escape doors. You literally cannot see them.
You realize what this means, right? You are essentially blinding yourself. You're acting exactly like a frog. See, a frog's visual filter is so incredibly narrow that it only recognizes small, moving, black objects as food. If you put a frog in a box filled with freshly dead, motionless flies, it won't see them as food at all. It will literally starve to death surrounded by an absolute feast. And right now, your overly narrow perceptual filters are starving you of massive opportunities that are sitting right in front of your face. Just consider this wild quote from Alice Through the Looking Glass. "Sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." We need you to internalize this right now. Beliefs are not fixed, objective truths about the universe. They're just permissions. They are the literal switches that turn your capabilities on or off. If you firmly believe something is impossible, your brain's reticular activating system will physically blind you to the solution.
Chapter 4, The Escape Route. Okay, you see the trap. Now you're demanding a practical way out. Well, here is your ruthless, step-by-step guide to rewriting your mental software. Let's start with rule number 1 from Gestalt therapist Fritz Perls. Look at this. Don't say I can't, say I won't. When you say I can't, you're telling a lie that programs your brain for absolute incompetence. Changing that single word to I won't violently forces you to acknowledge that you have a choice. You aren't physically incapable of starting that business or having that difficult conversation. You are actively choosing not to. So let me interrogate you for a second. What actually stops you? When you tell yourself you can't do something, what exactly would happen if you just did it? What is the physical, tangible barrier in your way? Asking this tactical question moves you completely away from abstract victimhood and forces your brain to identify an actual solvable problem. Now let's install a clinical software update. This is called the swish pattern. Step 1, identify the exact visual cue right before you do your bad habit, like staring at your phone when you should be working. Step 2, create a massive, brightly lit mental image of your desired self, totally in control. Step 3, in your mind's eye, take that bad cue and rapidly swish it, instantly swapping it with that powerful new image. Step 4, clear your mental screen and repeat. If you do this 5 times fast, you are literally rewiring the visual kinesthetic association in your nervous system. It's a real game changer. Now you might be asking, what about the part of me that actively wants to self-sabotage? How do I kill that? Actually, you don't. You use 6-step reframing. See, you don't kill that part of you because it actually has a positive intention. Maybe it's secretly trying to protect you from failure or burnout. So you communicate with it. You find its hidden positive goal. Then you generate faster, much healthier choices to achieve that exact same goal, and you program your mind to use those instead. You're literally negotiating a peace treaty within your own mind. And look, if all else fails, you rely on the ultimate, unbreakable law of systemic change. Do something else. If what you are doing right now isn't working, trying harder at the exact same thing is literal insanity. Immediately break the loop. Walk backwards, sing your argument out loud, break your state, and your brain will be mechanically forced to generate a brand new map. So it all comes down to this brutal, binary choice. Will you remain the frog, sitting in a cage of dead flies, endlessly complaining that you're starving? Or will you finally take control of your filters and build a completely new map of reality? The choice is absolutely